When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host again, Colleen Biggs, back with another amazing guest. I love it when I get to have doctors on the show. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, ooh, they're a doctor. It's so awesome. And Dr. Kalpana Sundar is here with us today. And okay, so she's gone from being a surgeon to a whole different career, which we're going to uncover in a minute. But it's really about being unbound, right? It's about reinventing yourself. And what does that mean to be an unbound? What does that mean to reinventing yourself? You might think, well, oh, it's probably like switching careers, or maybe it could be like a fitness thing. I've worked with people that had one career and then they went into bodybuilding, so there's a lot that we can do in our lives. And if you followed the last episode, number 162, if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. We talked a lot about the things that you can do to design your life and just some small changes you can make right now to give yourself permission to stop living your life based on what other people think you should do and doing it the way you think it should be done. So we're going to be doing that today and talking about that today again, and a lot more, in addition to the last episode that we did. But before we get to Dr. Kalpana, I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We're passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels, where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients and traditional Neapolitan techniques. So whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, our skilled pizziolas are here to create mouthwatering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service, we aim to provide an unforgettable dining experience with every one of your guests. So explore our menu and book your next event or wedding, and follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza. Get ready to embark on a pizza journey like no other with Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. You can connect with us at beyondbasilmobilepizzeria.com. Thank you, Beyond Basil, for sponsoring today's show. Okay, here we go. Dr. Kalpana Sundar is not your average physician. No, she's not. I'm going to tell you, you're going to find that out today. She's a true force to be reckoned with, a master of her craft, an advocate for personal freedom, and a powerful speaker who captivates audience with her inspiring message. As a board-certified physician and surgeon, she's dedicated her life to helping others, but her impact goes far beyond the operating room. So Dr. Sundar's unique concept, Unbound, which is what we're going to be talking about today, is a call to arms for women everywhere. It's a powerful reminder to live life on their own terms, breaking free from the limitations imposed upon society expectations. Dr. Sundar, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me. I must admit that I'm a little hungry for some pizza and kind of want a margarita right about now, but that's okay.
I grow my own basil in my house, like in my dining room. And I will tell you, it always smells amazing. And I just love to go over there and like pull a little tomato off, or, break a little basil off and just kind of roll it up in the tomato and put it in my mouth. It's so great. Anyway, you should grow your own vegetables. It's fresh and everyone loves it. Okay, so Unbound. When you wrote your book, Beauty Unbound, what was your purpose of that? Where did the word unbound come from for you? Like, what does it mean?
So for me, this really started in my childhood. I just felt bound and stuck, and didn't realize it for a really long time, but I was just going through a lot of motions in my life, just taking a lot of steps that I was supposed to take, just because I felt like there was this like prescribed pathway for me. And
is it a culture thing? or was it a parent thing, or what
I
would you
think
say?
it's a little bit of everything. I mean,
Okay.
for me, it was heavily culturally influenced
Mhm.
because I'm Indian, and a lot of like
Yeah.
Indians, a lot of us, we have a lot of cultures follow that paradigm. I've talked to other
Yeah.
people as well, and they've said, "Oh my God, I'm Vietnamese, and my parents were like this." There are a lot of cultures that follow
Yeah.
that same paradigm. So we just grow up in a way that we're supposed to do this, this, and this. Our parents heavily influence our choices. There's not a lot of freedom being given, and you will get stuck in a path that they think is right for you. And then you wake up one day and realize, what am I even doing? Is this even what's making me happy? Why am I doing this? Which happened for me around the age of 40 something. I started to wake up and realize that I call it my midlife awakening. People call it a midlife crisis, but I think it's more of an awakening depending on how you go about it. So I just realized that this wasn't really the life I wanted to live, but I wanted to do something else. And I wanted to be detached from what my family thought, what society thought, what my friends thought. And for me, that was living unbound.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. And so you become a surgeon. You're a surgeon for how many years?
20.
Okay. So you're a
Was it?
surgeon for 20 years. What happens? I know you loved being a surgeon. So where did the shift come from? I'm a surgeon and then now I'm shifting careers. That's a big shift for someone. So talk through the leading up to the shift, because I think that so many women forget that even though this podcast is called Take the Leap and a lot of us say like I just did it, they're like, yeah, but I can't. There's all these excuses. Yeah, but I have a family, or I don't have money in my savings, or I can't do that. So I think that women don't realize, or men, there's a big lead up to this. Mine was years, like 4 to 5 years lead up to that. So it was a preparation in time and, all of that. Talk us through a little bit about what you went through shifting your career.
So I knew that something needed to shift because I wanted to not wake up in the morning. Like literally, I would just think when I woke up, damn it, I woke up. That's not a good
Oh,
place to be. Right there, something's got to change. And yet I'd look at my life and I couldn't explain why I felt this way because, I had this beautiful home and I had these gorgeous cars in the driveway and I had a life that looked amazing and I had a big practice and a successful career, two beautiful children. I was married to my, husband who I met in college, and we were married, at that point, probably close to 20 years or something like that. So when I started to have these thoughts, and I thought, what is wrong? Why do I feel this way? And then I had some little incidents that happened in my life. One of which was I met this artist in North Carolina, and I talk about this in my book. And he passed. His name is Jonas Gerard, and he was in North Carolina. We were there on a family trip, and I met him, and we just connected immediately. And he was an older gentleman, and he had a raspy voice. So as an ENT physician, I was like, "Oh, I noticed that your voice is pretty raspy." And he goes, "Yeah, I had cancer of my vocal cords." And I was like, "Oh my God, well, I had thyroid cancer." So we immediately connected on that point. So we talked, and he says to me something that really just sparked my interest. He said, "Well, I wasn't even a smoker, but I got cancer. And I got cancer there because it's my fifth chakra." And that moment, I didn't even know what a chakra was. I'm Indian, but I didn't know what a chakra. So I'm like, I don't know what this dude is talking about. I'll look it up later. But that conversation continues. And he says to me, because I wasn't living my truth and I was married to a woman that was not in alignment. I was painting things that were not in alignment. Then he takes me to like the back portion of the studio and he goes, look, these are the paintings I was doing. And they were really traditional and kind of really basic and boring.
yeah.
And his work is very, like colorful and vibrant and full of emotion. And he goes, that's my truth. And he goes, and she didn't want me to do that. She wanted me to keep doing this because it was safe. And he goes, so I divorced her. And then after we got divorced, I started painting what I wanted to paint. And he goes, my business just blew up. And I was like,
Yeah.
huh. like whatever that was resonated within me. I didn't feel like I was in the right marriage for me. I mean, not that he was a bad guy, but it just didn't, I felt like held back in some ways. I felt like I needed to be smaller to be okay in that marriage. And whatever those dynamics are, I mean, they started when I was 20. So whatever, that's neither here nor there. So then I started to wonder, in what ways was I not living my truth? And that started the whole unbound unraveling.
I love that. It's interesting because there's so much of that when you talked about how he was in his fifth chakra, right? In his throat, and how he got that cancer. I will tell you that I have been going on journeys to heal from trauma that I didn't even know occurred when I was a child. You have to use medicine to be able to uncover these natural medicine to uncover these types of traumas. Because when your body disassociates from something that happened, you don't know it ever existed. But your body, they say the issues in the tissues, your body remembers that. And I was dating, so I've been going through because I have friends that have husbands or spouses that are getting cancer, and energy workers are saying there's a lot of anger. And when I remember breaking up with a boyfriend once, Kalpana, and I had motion sickness, terrible, and multiple migraines. And I would go to the doctors and get these MRI scans, and they were like, we cannot find anything wrong with you. And when I broke up that relationship, it all went away. All of it went away. That just goes to show the power of us not living the lives that we're supposed to be living, or pushing things down, or ignoring, or him not using his voice the way that he wanted to use his voice. It causes that in our body. And I want everyone to hear that loud and clear today, because if we stay bound, it becomes physical ailments in the long run.
Yeah.
And this is not from a medical doctor. I'm not a doctor saying, this is me speaking. I know for a fact, because I've seen it happen to my own friends, that happens. And so I'm literally working on journeys to get rid of anything in my body that my issues could be holding on to in my tissues, problems. I'm sure it's why I got cervical cancer when I was a younger child. There was a lot going on through that. And I'm sure that's what caused all of that. I love that. Okay, so now we go from meeting this gentleman, you have the conversation, you connect with them immediately. Do you go look up the fifth chakra? What happens in your life now? Because you're waking up saying, what? I don't know what's wrong with me, because it's the first thing we think. Something's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? I'm in this beautiful life. I should be complaining about nothing according to society.
Exactly.
Right? According to society, it looks perfect.
And according to society, I shouldn't want more than what I have. I mean, I can't tell you how many people told me that. They're like, I don't understand what you want. Your life is perfect. I'm like, well,
for you, maybe.
Yeah, for you, maybe this is your top ceiling, but for me, this is not my top ceiling. And I was like, well, I want to be on TV. I want my own big network TV show is really what I still want. And I just have had the courage now to say it out loud, right?
Keep saying it out loud.
Yeah. I mean, I have my show that's, on A360 TV, but I want an Oprah type show or an Ellen DeGeneres type show.
Kelly. Yeah. Why not? Right.
And I just love that. And I've always wanted to do that. So, I just knew that I wasn't living my truth. So after that, after meeting him, I really went home and started to wonder where I wasn't living my truth. Mm-hmm. So several years into it, I discovered that, my marriage really wasn't right for me. I don't know. There was something that wasn't right. I don't even know if I can still put my finger on it because, well, I guess I can. I just know that it wasn't going to allow me to be the best and fullest version of myself. In a nutshell, that was it. So because of that, I knew that had to happen first because I couldn't leave my career and get a divorce because then how was I going to sustain myself and take care of my children? So that happened first. We got all that wrapped up. And then I was like, I'll figure out the career thing later. Well, COVID happened. And when COVID happened, my practice took a significant downturn. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I thought, you know what? I'm a pretty good business person and I can resurrect this crap. I'm sure if I really tried hard, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of, emotional exhaustion, I'm sure. And I thought, but do I really want to? And the answer was no. And I freaking walked out. Like I just, I sent messages to all the patients that I'm closing down. I mean, financially, it wasn't even making sense. And I just thought, I'm not going to keep losing money here. What the hell am I doing? So
Like, this is my window.
I thought, you know what? Maybe this is my window. I don't know. I'm just going to do it. Well, at the time, I was actually planning another med spa. So, like, I was already opening up another med spa. So, at that moment, I was like, okay, well, I was planning on transitioning out slowly, but I was like, well, I can't afford to do that. So, whatever. So, I walked out, told all the patients I'm closing my doors and left, and then, I was opening that other med spa and I just had lots of trials and tribulations because this opened right in during COVID, and I had to move forward because we'd already signed the lease and all the things. And I was like, ugh, needless to say, I wound up having to shut that business down. And that was like my first huge failure in life, I mean, huge. It just felt gut wrenching, like it was a real loss. So at that point, I just, I was like, I don't know what I should do, and then I moved. I just couldn't even be in that town. I was like, I gotta go. I don't know. And at the time I was in a relationship, another one that wasn't really serving my highest and best good. But we moved down to South Florida, and that's where it just took some time to soul search and decided, what is it I want to do? And then I thought, if nothing were stopping me, what would my life look like? And I started to piecemeal that together. And to be honest with you, it's the life I'm living now. Because to show you, it's possible. Like I just sat there and I was like, let me just dream. Let me just dream as I could dream. And I was like, I want to live in California and I want to have like time to do the things I want and control over my schedule and have flexibility and be on podcasts and other people's shows and have my own show and be working on a bazillion different things that I enjoy and only work with people I like and only do things I like. And that's exactly what I'm living right now. So manifestation is real, people. It can happen. You just have to be clear about what you want.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because you did a couple of things along the way that I think were crucial. One, you had made the decision, I don't have to continue going down this train. Even though I said I was going to do a med spa, you were like, I've got to shut this down. And yes, it feels like a massive failure at the time, but it's a shift and a change. And you can't change things if you keep doing the same things that you were doing before, expecting a different result, right? Exactly. Then the second biggest thing you did was you uprooted yourself and put yourself in a completely different environment. And that I think is one of the biggest keys that a lot of people miss out on. I don't care if it's, I've even told my clients, go up north, like go to a different state by yourself and rent an Airbnb or go to a hotel room, like go somewhere where you can be alone, just you.
Yeah.
And think.
And I had that.
What do you want?
The funny thing was, I was in a relationship, but I was basically alone. That relationship was not like the deep emotional.
Was he a pilot? Well,
no, he was there, but I was alone. Right. The worst kind.
You're like, where?
Physically there, but not there.
Well, come on, girl. We've all had those relationships.
I was like, I'm a Scorpio. I like deep, meaningful relationships. And after about 3 to 6 months, I could tell I've reached the cap of where this was going to be. So it was kind of beautiful in a way because I had a lot of alone time to think and see what I wanted. And that obviously split up. And then we split up. And then at that point I had to make the decision to stay in South Florida, but there was really nothing there for me except him. And I didn't want to stay there. And I said, I've always wanted to live in California. I think I'm just going to go. So here I am.
Nice. Yeah, I think I manifested my relationship too, now that you say that, because I just remember saying, like, after these failed relationships, I just want a man that loves me for me. That's the first thing I said. Why can't I find someone that doesn't want to tell me, to be condescending to me, to tell me I'm a crappy mom, to tell me I'm this, to tell me I'm that? When it hurts my self-esteem, it hurts my heart, it hurts my soul, it hurts my mindset and who I am, my confidence. I was like, I just want to find someone who loves me for me. And I remember when I met my husband, it was the worst time ever in my life for me to meet a man, because I was like, I'm finally man free on my own, raising my kids. We're all like loving this life. It's great. And then, God drops this man in my life. I'm like, bad timing, bad timing. I couldn't deny him, but I will tell you the first thing I said to him was, I'm not changing for anyone, and I'm not going to try and change you. Like, I need to like you, and I need to like really like you exactly the way you are now without wanting to change anything. And you need to like me exactly for me. And doesn't that also apply to our career? You said, I get to work with the people I love. I get to do the things I want to do. If I want to run a show, I can run a show. I want to be on other people's shows. Isn't that so important for women, especially women? We can talk about men too. It doesn't really matter. Every single one of us need to be making a choice of the things that we want to do in our lives, no matter what anybody else thinks. That's the problem with societal pressures.
Yes. We get told we have to do X, Y, and Z, and we don't really have to do anything. We have a choice in all of it. And I love what you're saying about manifesting your husband, because I'm in the process of manifesting mine.
When you manifest him, let me know. My husband and I will fly out and we'll go out on a little date.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming, because I know I'm around people, a lot of people who have relationships like what I want. And before, I never saw that. So the fact that I'm seeing it all over the place, I'm like, I know it's coming. I have a list, and I know I'm going to know when it's time, but I'm literally at the point where you were. I don't even want to date right now. I don't care. And I'm like, you're just going to have to drop him into my lap, because
That's
I'm
right.
so tired of the whole.
I was so good. I was so good, but I didn't realize really what I was missing, because I'd never had that in my life. I don't think, I will honestly say, other than my children's love for me, I really don't think I had another human being love me, not even my own parents love me the way that this gentleman does. There's just such a deep soul, unconditional love, and both respect for, but when you're in something like that, it allows you to get relaxed and comfortable and break down any walls you could be holding up. And honestly, don't feel like I was equipped to be in those other relationships, because I had so many barriers. I was unlovable. Does that make sense? That wasn't fair to the other person.
When you feel safe, you feel safe to blossom into every bit of amazingness that you are, and for both people. And I'm in the same boat as you. I didn't really have like that kind of unconditional love. My parents wanted me to be a certain way, and now my relationship with my dad is much different. He's really accepting of who I am, but in my younger days, it was not like that. And other than my children, I did not feel that unconditional love. And it's something that it's funny. You're right. I'm so good right now. And I'm like, I'm fine without it. But God, I know that it would be like whipped cream on the delicious dessert of my life.
It's like a tiramisu,
Like,
that's just my favorite dessert.
More wonderful. But that's what being unbound creates. So I want to go back to what we're talking about. When you feel trapped, you feel confined, constricted. You don't feel expansive. You don't feel big. You don't feel that openness, right, to receive. So that's the state. Like, this unbound is not just a way of thinking, it's a state of being energetically as well. And it allows you to receive more things by being attached. And recently, for, I don't know what whether your audience is spiritual or not, but I've just noticed for me with these moons and eclipses, there's a lot of energetic shifts that start to happen for me to respect. And this last one, I let go of a couple of relationships that were not serving me, that were constricting, that didn't make me feel good. And again, unbound. I used to really hesitate about those decisions. And now I just trust my gut. I trust my intuition. I let it guide me as to what I'm supposed to do. It may be hard for a minute or maybe a day or two, but I feel a massive release after these. walking away from these toxic kind of things, which sometimes I never realize how toxic they are until I
Yeah.
got away from them. And I'm like, oh, that was bad.
Both of us get it. Okay. So both of us have been there. So we're talking to the audience to tell them you can't say, oh, yeah, well, you don't get my situation. Well, we haven't even talked about all of our situations, but we've all, her and I have been bound, right? So Kalpana and I have been bound. Now let's talk about the messy part, because this is where you always get kind of the eye rolls, or I do, like, yeah, you say it's easy. But so you moved to California so that you can start your own practice of doing what you do, right? You want to work with individuals. We've talked about it, and really calling out women to help them break free, so they're not having to do what, society expectations are telling them to do. So that doesn't happen overnight. The first step was, I'm going to, have this freedom to move where I want to move. And you chose California. And then you get to California and you've gone through like this kind of reinvention as well, through yourself, of unbounding yourself, or from the bounds of you being this ENT surgeon to who
Right.
you are today. That's a difference of an identity. And then even getting clearer and clearer and drilling down to say, now I want to focus on aesthetic providers. That's who I know I can make the biggest difference with. What was the process of getting to that?
So when I moved to California, I did not realize how much one could get discombobulated by moving across the country. I mean, I never moved this far on my own before. So this was like a bigger challenge than I expected. I felt really sort of on shaky ground and like uncomfortable and all of these things for a while. And then I left all the things that were income producing in Florida with some massive faith that everything was going to be all right. And, I had savings, so I was fine. But it was funny because the first the first couple of months, I was like, this is not, I don't know, I mean, I had some things, but not what I wanted, right?
Where's
And
the money coming from, right?
yeah, so then on month, I was like, I'm going to give it 6 months, and then maybe I'll go back to my Florida, and if I really, really have to, I'll figure it out, right? So, and then I was like, all of a sudden on month 5, like showered with opportunities that are literally just picking and choosing. And I'm like, like really, universe, like you had to just freak me out to this point. But I think my faith was really being tested. I just tried to stay calm because my head would get warped up in fear and all kinds of things. But my gut felt okay. And I thought, you know what? Let me try this differently now. Let me not listen to that and tell it to shut up maybe for a while. If my gut feels okay, let me just go with that. See what happens, just as a
Yeah.
test. And sure enough, it worked. And in that same way, I think that's what I was meant to do, was to trust, like really, really have faith and trust that things were going to show up. And they did, and everything. And then in those moments, like in the past couple of weeks, I've just gained so much clarity about exactly who I'm here to serve. I always knew it was women. I knew it was in entrepreneurship and elevating their health and their wealth. I knew those things. But then I knew all of a sudden in this moment, and the universe like clarified it very quickly, that was aesthetic providers, because those are the ones that I really have a real deep understanding of. And the weird thing is that I actually enjoy working with nurses, nurse practitioners, and physician's assistant, not physicians. That was a hard thing to own, but because everybody was, of course, driving me in that way. They're like, "Oh, you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, you got to work with physicians," and I'm like, I don't really. I don't know. I just don't have the greatest. I think differently than physicians, and I think very out of the box. And I'm very different than other physicians, so it doesn't really work for me. But these women that I've worked with, I really have a great relationship with, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's enjoyable. And I thought, okay, well, I don't ever want work to feel like work, and with the right people, it never does.
Right. Totally right. And I love that you now have taken, this is the other key, taking everything from your past, what you've learned, what you've done, bringing that with you. So many women think I start my own business and they get fearful and don't want to sell anything or do anything because they're like, well, I've never done this before. I'm like, all of that experience from the last 40 years just is with you still. So yeah, you have done it all still. and you just bring that forward with you. So you're taking all of that knowledge with you into what you're doing today, and then all the experiences you've been in between all of that to get where you are so that you can assist other individuals. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was just such a great moment of clarity for me. And I just felt so open. And I was like, yes, I finally got it. So yeah, it's challenging when you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out what it is you want to do. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
I always say start with the things that you love
Yeah.
to do and try to figure out how they may fit into that little puzzle that you're trying to create. I don't know. That's just how I did it because I love to speak. I love to be on stage. I love to help people with my advice and my experiences and all of
Yeah.
that. So I like it. I like to do it one-on-one. I like to do it in a workshop setting, and I like to do it on stage. So
I have a great aesthetics provider here in Arizona I want to introduce you to that I think the two of you would really connect and you would get her. You know, you would
that'd be
really get
amazing.
it.
And that's what I love because I know aesthetic providers in all kinds of pockets of the country.
Yeah.
So this allows me to travel and visit people that I love to see in other parts
Mhm.
of the country because I have so many people that I love to see. It's just the perfect life for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And then the man will come. The man will come when it's time.
Oh, he'll come when it's
The
time. I'm not
relationship will
worried
be
about it
there.
anymore. You know,
Yeah.
I got a really pretty perfect man in my life right now. He's adorable. My dog.
That's a whole nother show we could do just with your dog, with the man in your life. So, all right, Kalpana, I know that so many people want to connect with you at this point. We're going to have the link for your book, Beauty Unbound. I'm buying the book. I'm like, how come I don't have this book yet? What's going on? So I'm buying the book. We'll have the Amazon link there. How do you want them to connect with you? What's the best way for one of our listeners to connect with you?
So probably the easiest way is going to be through my YouTube channel, which is at
Okay.
Gloves Off TV. And then also I'm on Instagram and Facebook under the same handle. My website, drkalpanasundar.com, will just give you information about different things I'm doing, workshops and all those kind of things. And then also Instagram, I'm also under drkalpana.unbound. So I've got lots of different handles, but I feel like the most recent and best stuff is really going to be on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing some more form videos and things that I think people will enjoy.
Yeah, well, we've got the link down there. They can click on your YouTube link, and I'm just going to say go subscribe so that you can see more of her work and what she does. And I truly, since the day I met you, I felt a major connection with you. There's just something about you that I really like. And I think we need to recognize that in other people. And when we allow ourselves to be unbound from what the societal expectations are, we truly get to live the life that we want. And when's that going to happen? Like,
yeah,
when are you going to give yourself permission to do that? Like, when does that happen? And it took me years to give myself permission to get out of that relationship. And I was physically suffering in it. That's crazy. I mean, that is nuts. Like, I am the perfect explanation to say, like, all of the medical issues I had in that relationship were that relationship because they just disappeared when I was out of the relationship. Like, you know, so someone needs to think about that. What's going on in your life right now? What are some things that need to change? What are some relationships that you need to let go of and change? And I'm glad we talked about that today.
Yeah, me too. And I feel the same way about you. The minute I met you, and I was like, wow, this woman is like, I feel like we're sisters from another mister. For sure.
I know. I'm coming out to where is it that you live? Encinitas, California? Encinitas, California. Yeah. I'm just coming out and then we'll just hang out. That'll be a lot of fun.
Perfect. Or I can come to Arizona. We're doing it.
I know. I think, but you don't want to come here in the summer, girl. I'm just going to warn you right now.
Oh, fine. So you'll come here and then I'll come there later.
Sounds good. You know, I'm just going to throw the question out there for everyone. You're the only one that's ever been. You're the only you, right? That's ever been. So you're the only you that's ever going to be. Promise you there's not going to be another you ever. What do you want this life to look like? Like, you get to make that choice. Do you want to, stay in relationships? Do you want to be in a different relationship? Do you want to live in a different state? Do you want your life to look different career-wise? Do you want your body to look different? Fitness. Do you want to become a bodybuilder? Like, anyone could do it, right? You just turn around and say, I'm going to become a bodybuilder and start working out and hire a personal trainer and do the things you need to do with bodybuilders to become bodybuilders. I love that you said I'm hanging out with couples that have relationships that I want. You've got to hang around the people if you want to change your life to the way you want to change your life. That's an important cap for today that we talk about. So thank you, Kalpana, for being on the show. It's so much fun. I'm so glad you were here.
Thank you so much for having me. Can't wait to hang out with you in California.
So great. All right, everyone. Until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.